Hey everyone. I've had a couple of requests here to go over some of the settings that I have here for that last product shot that I was doing. So I featured something called Beaver Buzz, which is a local Canadian energy drink, and I just threw it together with path tracing. So I'm just going to go over quickly how I did that, and then we'll just kind of see if anyone has any questions, send them on to me. So the first thing I wanted to do here is we needed to go into the edit. I don't know if you've done path tracing and have it all set up, but we need to go into the project settings and go into rendering, and then we're going to make sure that all these things here in the area of global illumination, set lumen, think by default 5.1 project will do that. You want to have the lumen, all that stuff information there. Use hardware ray tracing when available is checked. I would set the reflection method to lumen, all this stuff, because it's very important to get the best reflections possible. We can also set those in the post-process node that we add into there, but we'll get to that as well. So just make sure that these ones are all checked. Ray lighting mode I set to surface cache, but I think I overruled it in the post-process settings, so not a big deal. But you want to make sure that support hardware ray tracing is checked, ray trace shadows, skylight, all that fun stuff. And there is going to be, make sure allow static lighting is not checked, because that will really ruin everything. And then we want to make sure that the path tracing is enabled. So there'll be path tracing right here, and check that. If you check that, sometimes it'll talk about skin cache and how to enable that, or that it needs to be enabled. If that happens, just click on it and go ahead with it. Also on top of that, if you don't already have it, you're going to have to go in here to scroll down and go to platforms and Windows. And under Windows here, you'll have this SM6 and SM5. Make sure SM6 is checked. And then this one here, I would recommend, the targeted RHI definitely needs to be set to DirectX 12. I know there are a few issues, and I have had a lot of issues with crashing and stability. You may run into that. I still think there's some bugs to be worked out between Unreal Engine and Windows 11 and DirectX 12. So hopefully you don't have any of that issues. Make sure your driver card or GPU drivers are all up to date and everything. I mean, depends on what you're running. So as long as those are all checked, there'll be on the bottom right hand corner, it'll say something about restarting your program, and when that happens, then you should get something like this. Now, I had some problems with the viewport being really messed up. Most people don't have that issue, but if that's the case, I go into settings, and then I had to preview rendering level, and I had to set that back to 5 because 6 shows me some really nasty stuff. So I think it's very specific to this scene, so you shouldn't see that. If you have any questions, also send a message to me. Anyway, so what I did here is I went in here and I created this little thing, and this is this product shot that you're seeing, and this is if I hit G, you'll see everything that I've set up. So pretty much this is just a blueprint of a 3D model that I created in Maya. I created this 3D model, and it was using Lego bricks. So if you really look, these drink cans are actually drink cans. They're Lego drink cans, and this whole thing is built with bricks. And then here I got a little bit lazy. I created it, and I just put a plane here, and on the plane it's using a decal material. So for purpose of this particular tutorial walkthrough, I'm not going to kind of go over that because it's something different. But as you can see, the 3D model's here. So I went in here, and I'll go into the props, and then go into the fridge there. Just don't mind this weird stuff. This is part of the stuff that I was talking to. If I reboot this in DirectX 11, I don't see this weird stuff going on. So just don't worry about that. You'll probably not see that. Anyway, so if I go into the viewport here, you can see also I get some viewport stuff here. It shouldn't look black here, but whatever. So I created this here. What I did to get that cool lighting, and let me just open it up for you guys here. I'll find that image so we have something for reference. and it is on my desktop somewhere. Here we go. Okay, so this is it. And so you can see that there's a nice lighting on here. The light here is all just reflective. This is all based on lighting in the scene. As you can see, some shadows over in this area that I've actually removed in the later version. That is caused by some of the lights I put in the scene just to give it a little bit of extra punch. So, but really what you're seeing here is a lot of lighting coming from these two bars. So if we look at a basic fridge, like a drink fridge, like a display fridge, generally what they'll have is these light bars inside, and that is just a material that is using lumen and emissive strength to kind of give it that reflection, and it's actually lighting the inside there. If I turn this off, it doesn't look as pretty. Also, you're seeing this this reflection of the light here on the right hand side of the Beaver Buzz can, and that there is because of this light. So that's interactive lighting, not only lighting everything, but it's also giving some very interesting reflections and just selling the look. So that's pretty much what we're going in there. So I just really created this. It's a couple different pieces, not including the drink cans. I just kind of put those in there. I took the 3D model here of the body, and I actually have a separate fridge door. So the fridge door is just a couple different materials. So I'm just going to go in here just to show you the glass material. I don't know exactly what everyone's interested in specifically, so I'm just going to kind of show you a little bit about everything. You can kind of skip if you aren't really interested in that. So really what it is just a transparent material. I'm just going to open that guy up, and I'll show you details. Again, don't worry about what we're seeing here. It's not showing you exactly what it is, but really it's a transparent material. I created a new material. I went in here, and then I changed the material domain to, or sorry, blend mode to translucent. And then when I did that, I scrolled down here to lighting mode, and I switched it to surface forward shading. That will allow you to add roughness and things like that. I just clicked drag over here. I just typed in constant, and then I created these values. I just pretty much copy pasted that one. So I wanted roughness to be 0, so it's as shiny as it can be. Opacity to be 0.3, so you can kind of see mostly through it, but not all the way. And then refraction 1.1, because it gives it a nice refraction for glass. Also, the default value is black, which gives it the better. It doesn't give it a kind of a frost. If you want to change it to white or blue or anything like that, you can do that. You're going to notice a little bit of a frosting on it. And if you change the roughness and the opacity values, you can give it a more of a unique look. But this is what I was going for. Less of a Lego look and more of a realistic reflection glass look. And that, in my opinion, I took away a little bit of the creativity and I put it more like that and more realistic as opposed to cartoony and stuff, because I did want to show off the product inside. So that was a decision I made. So it's all up to you. But so if you've done all that, you can go there and you can apply that over there. That's going to give us that really good look. So in here in the viewport, you can see that refraction almost makes it look like there's a hole in here. That is not, it's just all refraction. And this this glass door handle thing, that kind of looks a little messed up too, but this is in the SM5 preview. And if you're to switch to path tracing, which I will do here, if you click lit and you click path tracing, you can get a better look at what you're actually looking at. And you can move around. Not quite real time, especially when you're recording. But anyway, you get a good idea of what you're looking at because you can see the difference between this and if I switch back over to lit, completely different story. So yeah, that's more kind of what we're looking at. So that's that reflective thing. I didn't do a lot here. And if you want to get, let's really quickly, if you want to get fancy with all this stuff, you can switch these guys to convert to parameter, and then you can give them, unique names, and then you can actually go here and right click on that and create a material instance, apply that to it, and then you'll have slider bars you can see in real time. I just knew exactly what I wanted, so I just threw those in there, so no big deal. Anyway, so this one here, yeah, like I said, this fridge blue is just, it's a shiny material. Nothing crazy, but really what it is in the lighting, in the location of where it is. If I hit G, you're going to see some of the lights I've put in here. I put one light in the front of it to illuminate a little bit more, which I'm actually not seeing right now. Let's see. So it's got Maybe, let's see about that one. That one's, I added, you know what, let's say, I just added that one there earlier just because I was doing non-ray trace or non-path tracing. So really we could probably just turn that one off. So ignore that one. But really where we're getting the lighting here is this here. There's actually a light here that is going to be contributing. Oops, that's not it. Oh, sorry, those lights are in the blueprint. I forgot about that. So let's go in here. If you go into the viewport, we've got these lights that are contributing. Again, you're not seeing it in the viewport. We've got some major issues here, but there's two rect lights here. There's one there and one there, and they're just kind of at angles, and they're just illuminating a little bit of the product as if there were a light here, which in a lot of cases there is. So, and then that's like that, but really what we're looking at is this illumination here. So I've just created an element 0, let's see, sorry, MI glow I called it. So let's backtrack. So M glow is a new material I created, and that created, I just went over here, M glow, and then I just added a emissive color of, it's just a little off blue, so it's not quite white, but I just added a little bit of blue tinge so it would look a little bit prettier than just straight white. Then I added a multiply node, and I did a glow intensity. So really what I did there is I created a constant, like I said earlier, and I right clicked on that, and I converted that to a parameter. Then I gave it a name called glow intensity, and then when I did that, save and apply all that stuff, and I'll just do it anyway, and then right click, create material instance, and then I created this one, which has a little checkbox here, so I can change it to 100 if I want, 1,000, depending on what you're doing. Because I noticed that with path tracing, if you don't have a glow intensity, if you got it really high, path tracing really takes those values and just it makes them, you know, it's easy to go overboard. So what I did was because we're doing path tracing, I changed it to like 1 or something like that, or 10, I can't remember. Let's go back and see what it looked like before. Yeah, so I think, yeah, I had it as 1. So that's where it is. You can play with this value and you can actually see it change in here. If you're like dragging it, you'll see it in there. And if you switch path tracing on, you'll see the changes in there. So that's pretty much what I did, and then I just got it in there, and I'm going to show you my render settings as well. So once I did get it to the point where I wanted it, and I actually just created a cinema camera. So let's go back into the camera. I called it Beaver Buzz Cam. Okay, and then I just created a regular cinematic camera, and I set in here. I just went into the camera itself, and then under the focus, I just used this guy to get exactly where I wanted. And then I switched, I think, a 50 mil, yeah, 50 mil, and to give it a little bit of that more bokeh in the background, I just dropped it down to 1.2, which is the lowest aperture I could. If we wanted to go higher, you could do that, but I just really didn't want a lot of detail in the background because I'm trying to sell the look that it's really small, because these are actually in a dollhouse, so everything is super tiny. Anyway, so I got that all there. That's pretty much what I did, nothing fancy with the camera. And I went into the Windows and then Cinematics, and then we do Movie Render Queue. And if that's not enabled by 5.1 by now, it should be by default. You don't have to play with that. But if not, if you don't see Movie Render Queue, it is in the plugins. You can enable Movie Render Queue and restart your project. But like chances are you probably already see that. So what I did was I added all of this stuff here to one of my, I'm just kind of skipping a lot of stuff here, but I created a sequence, and that sequence was called Beaver Buzz Shot. So that sequence there pretty much just has this camera. We're going to do a dolly in or dolly out later on, but just for this purpose here, I just created a camera cut. Once we have our cinematic in there, I'm just adding the cinematic into there, and we'll just do Beaver Buzz Shots on the top there. And then here's where the magic happens. So in the settings, I already have a pre-save here, and I'm just going to show you everything I changed. So HD render is the one. Depending on what you want to do with it, I just go with the JPEG sequence. If you're really getting crazy with some of the post-production and you want to bring it into like you know, like Adobe Premiere or anything like that, then I would specify EXR sequence and then make sure it's multi-layer. So I'm just doing it for the purpose of this. I'm just a JPEG sequence, 8-bit, nothing crazy on there. Deferred rendering, so we're not using deferred rendering because that's regular non-ray traced, or sorry, never non-path traced, but we added a path tracing one. So if you click on render, sorry, not render, it's we have to go in here, setting, and then we add path tracing. So I don't see it here because it's already there. Click on that guy. I have the reference motion blur here, which it adds a little bit of time, but something that I need to do. Don't worry about any of the actor layers because that's something different. And render main pass should be checked. So if you're following that, just skip that part. So anti-aliasing, that's where we're going to get this. So let's see, anti-aliasing, we want to do 1, and then we're going to do temporal sample count 64, override anti-aliasing, and then just set this to none. I think that's by default, and then all these settings, just copy those. And then console variables, this is where it gets intense, so you want to make sure you copy each one of these. I'll copy this into the video description as well so that you can just copy paste it, but it is from the Unreal Engine information, sorry, on the original, it's on the documentation page. So but the problem is that on there, I don't know if they've updated it, but the ray tracing, they had it set with ray tracing 2 words, and that causes problems and it fails and you don't get this specific thing. So copy all those guys, that's pretty much it. Game overrides, I would add a game override as well, and it's again in the settings. Make sure that you do all these things. It's going to get rid of things like LODs and other like low quality stuff. And that's pretty much it. And I just outputted, you know, just all this detail. This is all default, and I just put custom playback range, whatever you want to do. And when you hit accept, you can render that. And then once you render that, you're going to get something like what I got. So that's pretty much it. If anybody has any questions or anything that, please post them in the comments section, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. But that's, yeah, that'll get you some nice little shots. I love to see what you're doing and what you're working on. So if you have anything cool that you want to show off, also post that in the comments section. I'd love to see what you're sharing. Thanks.